Yeah, we made it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Financial Therapy to Prosperity. And I have a guest today. And I'm so excited because I have been wanting to talk to him for probably a year and interview him. So we're going to get started. I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. So this is Tahj Stewart. He is the owner and CEO of Obsessed with Success. He is an entrepreneur, a credit and funding expert. He has helped his clients secure hundreds and thousands of dollars in funding. And he built his name by turning his real life struggles into strategy. He has helped people leverage their personal credit profile to get 0% interest business credit and invest into cash flowing assets. Welcome, Todd.
Hey, what's up with it, man? Thank you for having me on the platform.
Yes,
Appreciate you.
yes. So I wanted to kind of start with, how you got into the business, like basically like what happened in your life that pushed you into credit and funding.
Okay, cool. So yeah, basically, how it all started with me 100% was the fact that I had zero knowledge um on the information and how to actually leverage credit. Like I had absolutely no clue on how credit really worked and how you leverage it. I always just heard my whole life like, yeah, that's what the rich people be doing. It's how the rich people, man, they take their credit and they do this and do that and do that. And I'm just like, okay, that sound cool. And that sound like it definitely sounds like something that I want to do, but I don't know what the hell's going on. So essentially it was a whole life. I'm always a person who I look at stuff on more of a deep level and like a spiritual level. So every single thing that ever happened in my life while I was growing up, where it was like a lot of negative stuff and like shortcomings in my life, I would always sit and I would look and I would think like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And then even like when I started growing up to be a teenager and I'm making all these negative decisions like selling drugs and I'm around all these people who are doing all these different things, right, criminal wise, and to get some money and make some paper and stuff like that. When you're growing up as a kid, you don't really notice what's going on, but when you get older, you like it was really because none of us had financial education. None of us had any type of source of financial literacy at all. We all grew up with that lack of that. So we just went to whatever we felt like was going to be the best thing. For me, it was selling drugs because people in my life sold drugs. And it was easy. Like y'all got the lines, y'all buying all these cars and got the houses. Like my older brother had a house in the suburbs, you know what I'm saying, off of drugs. So I was like, psh, and I grew up to that. Like I was a little kid, like looking like, oh man,
Yeah.
I want to do that, right? So essentially, like, you know, I got a little bit older where, I'm having kids and I'm doing all this stuff and you know, I'm starting to just analyze my life from an older perspective, not just from being a young kid no more. So I'm looking at it like, man, to be honest, man, look, I really got to figure something else out. So I was doing all type of different jobs and building houses, driving semi trucks, doing all type of stuff. But then when, once I stumbled across the credit stuff, to be honest, I already had been working on my credit for a couple years. Like I went to a credit
Uh-huh.
repair company back in COVID, went to a credit repair company, they wiped me down. I went to I went and built my credit up over some years. So by the time I tapped in with like Smitty Ramel and Boone and all them, I was already at an 800 credit score.
Wow.
So by that time it was like lock and load season, right? So that's the biggest thing, honestly, was just my want and my need for something more.
Mm-hmm.
I knew for a fact that I needed something more out of life my whole life. That's why I started making music. That's why I started doing all these other things. But it wasn't until I got older when I realized that credit was really what I needed to learn, master, and understand it. And then once I did learn it and understand it and mastered it, that's when I realized how many people don't understand credit. So then that made me realize that that's what I need to be doing is getting out here and putting the game out here and putting people on and helping people get in position. And I mean, damn, like it's literally some life changing stuff if you use it properly. So yeah,
Yeah. It is. And it's like, that's why, I talk about financial trauma, because like you were saying, in terms of like the education, and nobody teaches us how to do this. Like at the age of 21, I had my first bankruptcy. I've had two bankruptcies in my
Mm,
life, repossessions, collections. And it wasn't until I understood, like you, same thing with you, I cleaned up my own credit.
yeah.
And I didn't understand credit is not just about attaining credit cards. It's
Right.
about getting you access,
Yep.
right? Because just having great credit can get you access. It can get you partnerships for you to go into business and buy businesses and have more capital, can give you, access for you to actually be like the plug, right? To like
Right.
be the line of credit, because you can actually, like we talk about trade lines and things like that, you're utilizing all of that to make money off of your credit without actually using your credit in that way. And I
Right.
think people don't understand how heavy it is and how great it is when it comes to really having more access in your life.
Yep.
So I definitely resonate. Um, I know you talked a little bit about like your story, like your background and growing up and, selling drugs, and, that's what you saw. So it was like, and then seeing people attain money and all kinds of stuff by doing that. What
Hmm.
exactly happened in your story, you think, that really tied into your financial trauma, that you really, that got you to this point?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's just like I said, it's just really a combination of everything, to be honest. Like just growing up, seeing just because when your eyes are open to systemic stuff, you start to realize like, okay, these group of people, they always live this way. Like I went to school with people with kids who they lived a certain type of life. And but their parents were like they were doing this and doing that. They seemed a little bit more like financially educated, like they have more like goal setting and things of that nature in their life versus like, okay, we live this way. I know other people who live way worse than me, right? That I went to school with,
Yeah.
and they ended up like kind of going down this lane. But then you, as you get, like I said, like it was really just me having my eyes open my whole life because as I get older, like my father, for instance, he was addicted to drugs and alcohol. He's from the project, Chicago. My whole family, like they all came up in a certain type of way. So I see how all of them move. Now, on my mom's side, it's completely different because they had like alcohol problems and stuff like that. But at the same time, they all had jobs and like careers, and they were all like more focused on like kind of living that just societal way, you know what I'm saying? Where it's
Yeah.
like society, like go to school, go to college if you can. If you don't, then get some type of career, get some type of job. But everybody was just working a 9 to 5 or just moving and grooving, right?
Mhm.
To where it was like regular stuff, like go buy a house, go get in debt, go do
The
all this stuff. Back to
programming,
that.
right? I
Yeah,
call it the programming.
yeah, that's
Right.
exactly what it was. So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like, I just take a look at all that, like, man, it's so many people struggling, there's so many people winning, there's so many people living stuck 9 to 5 rat race, but they still stressing. There's people who be stressing, who be acting like they're not stressing, but they really stressing, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, so like I feel like with me personally, I was always addicted to money forever. Like ever since I
Mm.
was young, like I really was addicted to money, and that's what got me into like doing the drug, selling the drugs, and this and that. Because I was like, I loved that how easy it was, and once I realized I could flip money and do this stuff, and like I was like, okay, then now it's all on me. Like now I can go and run up this bag and go crazy. But it wasn't until like I said, I got like my first time in the prison 3 times. So my first time I went to prison, I was 17, and it was for
Wow.
selling drugs and having a gun and stuff. I got out, but that was my first thing where I was just like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't like that
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, like, I had a friend that went missing at the same time, and he's been
Mm.
missing since 2011. You know what I'm saying? And then at that very same time as well, one of my best friends just got sentenced to 60 years in prison. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So, and he's still in there now, and it's been like 13 years, right?
Wow.
But so you start looking around you like, damn, okay, I see where life could head. I need to get it together. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
need to start to go legit and figure out what I'm gonna do. So I just did all type of stuff. Like I said, got into carpentry. I'm building houses. Like I'm linking up with people. I'm doing all type of stuff. Like I'm just trying to figure it out, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, it wasn't until just recently, like 2 years ago, when I really like understood what you could do with credit. And that's what it led me down that path. But it's like you can't really overthink any of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
God is gonna take you down so many different paths to get you to where you are today. So you might have had went down this path, this path, this path, this path, but it all just led down to you coming to where you at, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way that I kind of look at it, is like, at the end of the day, you know, it's just everything. Like it's deep. It's hard to really break it down and explain it, but it's everything,
Yeah.
that really led to me getting into the financial literacy space. But I say overall, it's definitely all of the hardships and the struggles and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I got kids. I got to make sure I'm putting on for them. Like, one of my biggest fears was always leaving this earth and not giving my kids nothing, like not leaving them nothing, not
Mhm.
being able to provide for them with anything. And like I said, like, you could be a great entrepreneur, and you might, like, I have entrepreneur friends who don't they got horrible credit, and they're
Yeah.
making $200,000 a month, and they got and you know what I'm saying, like, so it's like you don't need credit necessarily, but the thing is that you really should have it though. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Because at the
Yep.
end of the day, even for my friend who's making a 200K, he still keeps on having these problems where he cashing checks to the bank, and they locking up like 90% of his
Yep.
money for like 2 weeks. So he's having these issues where he's like, damn, bro, if only I had some credit cards or something that I can make sure I'm paying out my employees and doing this and doing that, because now I'm having to go and find this money over here and funnel this over there and stuff like that. But so it's like credit comes in handy for so many different things. But the main thing is really learning the game behind funneling money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be able to funnel money from one place to another place to another place to another place, especially when it's not your own money, when it's
Yes.
other people's money. Because at the end of the day, this is what's going to, if you're rich right now, you're just going to get 10 times richer leveraging credit.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
you made a couple points. I'm gonna go back to something, but when you talk about like your friend that's making the money that he's making, that's cash. And
Yeah.
it's like once it's gone, it's gone. So it's almost
Mhm.
like, why would you want to be in a position where you can only utilize your cash, like you said, and not other people's money for capital for your business?
Yeah.
And so I think as entrepreneurs, that is how we get burnt out and tapped out, because not no I have talked to so many entrepreneurs, and it's like they use all of their savings, you know what I'm saying? Even if their money, I mean, even if their business has cash flow, they come to a point where they get stuck.
Yeah.
And that,
Mhm.
like you said, that's where that credit comes in, because it's like if you really develop a plan and a strategy and you're doing it like the right way, like you said, you can catapult yourself financially with your business and really build wealth.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to go back to what you said about being addicted to money, right? Because when I think about our relationship with money and our money mindset, especially I think as men too, right? Because most men, whether it's like societal or really a lot of times, I think it's just kind of ingrained in men to be providers, right? And
Right.
so, having that feeling that, I am doing what I'm supposed to do because I know I can provide,
Mhm.
to my family, like you talked about your kids. But a lot of people think when somebody says I'm addicted to money, because of all of the, money is a root, all these weird things that people say, which is totally crazy to me, because
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no, people are just crazy and they get involved and do bad
There you
things with
go.
money. Those are
There
two
you go.
separate things, but anyway.
That's exactly to say yes. Exactly.
Yeah, so when you say you're addicted to money, to me, I'm like, "Oh, I love hearing that."
Yeah.
Because the thing is we get this fear around money. Like you said, nobody really wants to talk about it. But
Right.
everything in our lives really revolves around money, and how we think that we
Everything.
work in a 9 to 5, that we
Everything.
have to buy food, pay our lights, our rent, everything, our
Mhm.
quality of life, where we
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
dictates money. And so, being addicted to money, I know what you mean, because when you get that mindset of like, me and money, we
Yeah.
like this. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? It changes your perspective, and it just, to me, it just catapults where you need to be in regards to money.
Yep.
Um, okay, so you talked about going to prison. That part of your life, how did that kind of trigger a mindset for you in terms of like maybe in a spiritual way, when it comes to like your freedom, your success, when you were in prison and just like maybe had thoughts of like, when I get out, this is what I'm going to do. Did anything like that happen for you?
Yeah, so my first time I went to the joint, I was 17, and I didn't rap or anything like that. I had made no music. I had no education on it. But while I was locked up, I was having all these dreams of like Lil Wayne songs and Jadakiss songs and all these different songs that never came out before. Wiz Khalifa is when he was first dropping. And then I would wake up from my dreams and be like, hold on, them songs was low key some of the, like that Lil Wayne song was the coldest song I ever heard. But then I thought about it, I was like, wait, it never actually existed. I created it in my brain while I was
Wow.
asleep. So then that's when I started to I started to pay attention to stuff a little bit different. And I'm just like, damn, you know what? Like I think I found like a way that I could like channel my express my emotions, and I could do it on a global level. Like I could express it to a lot of people, and it's gonna help shift people. Because at the end of the day, since I was a little kid, I always had this want and this need to help a mass amount of people. That's always what was my calling. When I was young, I just knew, I was just like, okay, at the time, obviously, I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I just knew like I'm going to help a lot of people. So once I first was locked up the first time, like it hits different when you're 17 years old and you going up in I go to prison for the first time. I'm in adult prison, you know what I'm saying? And it's a dude in here that's been down for 40 years. He one of the first people I seen, and he got life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at him, and I'm just looking at him. I'm 17. I'm just like, damn, bro, it's
Because
it's
you a
over with.
baby. I
I'm a
mean, you know what I'm
baby.
saying? You a
Yeah.
baby.
And I'm
Yeah.
looking at him like it's over with for you. You know what I'm saying? Like then you go and you around all these different people who's has all these different lifestyles and all these different thought processes and behavioral patterns and all type of shit. And like I said, like with me personally, you know what I'm saying? I'm one of them people who I was always just watching stuff. Like since I was a kid, I was the little kid that was in the room who's quiet as hell, and I'm just
Mhm.
looking at everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the kid I was. I'm
Yeah.
observing. I'm observing. They like he be on it. Like he watching everybody. Like yeah, I'm on it. I don't care what's going on. I'm watching everything. And I've always been that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, so as I got older, my eyes was always open. So that first prison sentence, like being locked up like that with all these lifers and killers and murderers and all these different people and drug dealers and stuff, and it just make you look like, okay, well, I gotta go and do it big though. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I gotta go and live the life that I really want to live. So when I touched down that first time, like I didn't have a kid or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I got out, and man, listen, I focused on the music, and stuff was happening that was just show God was showing me, like I'm on MTV like 4 months after I get out. I get somebody
Wow.
contact me like, yo, we want it now it wasn't completely music, it was a dating show that they had me on. But still, but still it still,
Yeah.
it
It put your
aligns.
face out there. Yeah,
Yeah,
you got to
yeah.
talk about what you wanted to
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it aligned. So I couldn't overlook that. At the end of the day, like I'd be looking at everything like, you know what I'm saying? That if it's a sign, it's a sign. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So at the end of the day, it aligned. I'm like, okay, I'm on MTV though. You know what I'm saying? On a dating show, yeah, but still like I'm in the studio on MTV on the dating show, you know. So at the end of the day, like certain things were aligning. I was getting up with all these different people doing all this dope stuff. But then I got, randomly snatched up after I had my first kid for an old crime that I had did and for selling for it was a delivery of cocaine and stuff like that. And that one hit hard because I stopped selling drugs, but they
Mm.
came and got me like a year later on a
Wow.
controlled buy. And then the person who did the controlled buy was a friend of mine at the time. So, like from the past, she was a friend from the past. And then I bumped into her randomly and she was just like, "Oh, yeah, I'll call you." And she called me a couple times. And then two of them couple times, she set me up with an undercover damn detective who I thought was one of her friends. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, they snagged me up. They gave me 2.5 that time. And that one hit really hard because I had a kid. I was focused on excelling. I was working a job. I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm really just trying to still figure it out. I'm like 20 at the time. I just turned 21. So, I was trying to figure everything out still. But that was one of the best experiences of my life though, because when you like a lot of people, they underestimate prison time because it's like it gives you a chance
Mhm.
to really sit back and get away from all the noise of
Yeah.
freedom, because when you're free it's a lot of noise. Like you got the internet, the social media, you got a nonstop, you got to go to work every day, you have to
Responsibility. You don't have
exactly
time to sit and look at yourself.
and think. Like you don't
Yep.
have time. But when you in prison, you sitting in this room and all you got is time for you to analyze your whole life, all of the good choices you made, all of the bad choices you made, all of the relationships that you could have kept, all the relationships you should have got rid of, all of the different things. And then you're just in your own head, basically, you know, just imagining and dreaming about what like the perfect relationship is and what the perfect
Mhm.
situation is and the perfect life for you is. So therefore you start really manifesting it. So that's why when I would get out and every time I would go up and up, people would be confused like, well, how the hell does he keep just getting getting out of a situation
Yep.
and then he's going up even more? And that's, I feel like that's pretty much the reason.
Mm.
And then obviously this last time was just some pure systemic stuff. Now, this is where when you meet the system, like getting the best of people, you know what I'm saying? Because this last one, they literally locked me up. They didn't really have any type of real type of jurisdiction to lock me up or nothing, but I'm on probation, so they could just snag me up in my PO office. I go in for a visit, they snag me up, and then they were questioning me on if what I'm doing is fraudulent and scamming and stuff like that. Because
Wow, with your business.
yeah,
Because
because they're
I had
trying,
met you at this point. You had blew up, been in
yeah.
rooms, traveling all over the place.
All type of
Wow.
stuff. Yeah. So once they couldn't figure that out, and they was just like, well, damn, he don't do nothing illegal no more. So then they had revoked my probation for they did a whole they was on me so heavy that they did a license plate reader thing to where they seen that I was in Chicago at Smitty's event. It was literally one of Smitty's events,
Wow.
and I didn't have a travel permit because for all of the events that I had to go to, I had to have a travel permit. So I went to one of Smitty's event. I didn't have a travel permit. I told them that I drank two mimosas at a brunch, and then I didn't live in the right house. So at the end of the day, because I had my probation at my mom's house, but I was living somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Mom,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so they ended up revoking me for those things, right? But mind you, I wasn't. I was out of trouble for way over for 6 years. You know what I'm saying? Not even a speeding. I got one speeding ticket back in like when I was on my way to my nephew funeral. But other than that, um, it wasn't no problems. I didn't give them people any problems. So when that situation arose, and then then they jammed me up, and it was pretty hectic because they had me in MSDF where it's you locked in a room for like 22 hours a day every day. So for 9 months, all last year, I was just in a cell pretty much the whole time. No fresh air, no
Two
contact.
hours a day, you were
20,
out.
like
That's
22 hours a day. You in a room, like 2 hours you're out, and it's not even 2 hours straight. You come
yeah.
out, you come out for like 30 minutes throughout. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's real. And you gotta hurry up and go try to run to the phone and get on the phone real quick. phones was down a lot where you trying to get on the phone. They're like, please wait while we're da, da, da. And it's just like, it keeps saying it. You like, bro, I'm just trying to make sure my family good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And, and you know what, Taj, it's so deep. So, when I've never heard anybody, like when I asked you about, just what you thought about, right, in
Yeah,
prison. And as soon as you started talking and you were talking about visualizing, thinking about what you wanted to do and all of these things, and then you talked about how you catapulted when you came out, the first thing I did think about was manifestation, because so when you
yeah,
said it, because people don't understand how powerful that is.
yeah,
And the fact that each of those times, even this last time, like that's deep. You know what I'm saying? Like you were at a height of really, I mean, you were in the midst of elevate. I was seeing you
yeah,
online. I mean, you just everywhere, right?
yeah.
And then just
Boom.
silence. Right.
Yeah.
Boom. Because I sent you a message and then it was like, where did top like what like I didn't know. And then it was like you were just gone.
Yeah.
But my point is like each of these times and these lessons that you have, like you're utilizing it despite what it looks like, despite like what you're going through, you're
Mhm.
using it each time to catapult yourself. Because honestly, seeing you again, like online, I know you're rebuilding, doing your thing and everything, but it's almost like you did not miss a beat.
Yeah.
Like I'm
That's
not
what a
even
few people
lying
been
to you.
saying too, yeah.
Yeah, like seeing you, and I'm seeing you, you know what I'm saying? You still you doing mentorship, you
Mhm.
in this, doing this, like you instantly just came out, almost like I guess if you want to say it's a setback, but like you said, you never know the reason why you have to sit down. And
Yeah.
of course, there's no rhyme and reason, and how they did you and stuff is just that's wild.
Mhm. Yeah.
But the whole point is maybe this changed your timeline and
Yeah.
trajectory to get
Mhm.
you somewhere quicker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I like to think when things like this happen to us, there's power in that.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And it also showed you like there's no comfortability. So let me move, like move my ass and really, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
rework the plan. So I just, you know what I'm saying, just have so much tremendous respect for you. You know what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
saying? For that. And I'm so excited to see this journey for you and just like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, this next level.
Yeah.
Um
I
how
appreciate that.
important is mentorship for you and
That's
just your environment when it comes to that, being around like-minded people?
so even all right, so I'll even just speak just on recent mentorship because I'm in him 500 1% mastermind. And to be honest, like being in a situation I was just in, like like I said, I'm locked in a room for 22 hours a day, and I was with some youngins, and one of them was like this little dude, man, and he's known for like some like hideous like stuff, you know what I'm saying? And so his brain is just like twisted, but still, me being I'm unk a little bit now, you know, so I'm getting the unk age. So me being unk, like I'm telling him, look, bro, you got to do this, do that, do this, do that, do that, do that. But some of that stuff wasn't getting all the way through his head. But I always feel like I should be some type of mentor to the youth in any type of way that I can. So being around that mindset for 9 months straight, it changes your mindset no matter how strong your brain is. It makes you start thinking in terms of like you get a little bit more petty. Like, I touched down and I had a job offer on the table working at Pepsi for 32.25 an hour. So, and I'm like, it's lit. That's 32.25 hours
Yeah.
cracking. I love it.
Yeah.
But then I had to snap back to what I just had going on. Like, bro, we focused on we trying to hit them 6-figure months. You know what I'm saying? Like we focused on like, you know what I'm saying? You're not gonna make no 6-figure months at no 9 to 5. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No.
So Marcus and Nikki and Brandon, a couple people from his team, they reached out and said, "Bro, we're restarting your mentorship, so don't even trip. You
Wow.
got a free fresh year, like you straight." You know what I'm saying? So I went to he does two meetings, right? One is online in the beginning of the month, and the other one is in person at towards the end of the month. So I got to go to the one last month. So when I tell you that it's so important because it's not about your just about your mentor, but it's really about the mentees too. Especially when you in a mentorship like 1%, where there are several people doing 100K months,
Yeah.
six-figure months, where there are several people with $1 million years. Where there are several people that are like hitting these high milestones where now the conversation is different. So I went
Hmm.
from being in a room where I'm with my peers I grew up with, and we're still trying to figure this shit out. Like, we're still trying to figure out, like, all right, we got to figure out how to build a funnel. Like, we got to figure out how to do this. We got to figure out, man, an ad strategy, bro. We got to figure this out. We got to figure this. And then 2 months later, we'll come together and be like, man, bro, we got to figure this out. We got to figure this out, bro. Da da da. Well, no,
Right.
when I started learning about mentorships, we
Yep.
don't do that. I get to ask my mentor, listen, how do I do this and this and this? They'll be like, look, you go this way and do that, and I'm gonna send you this person who's gonna help you exactly with this, and then boom. So then next month, I'm like, I already did all that last month. Next month, we linking up, yo, all right, I got some new problems, right?
Hmm.
Because at the end of
Yep.
the day, when it comes to business, the problems don't run out.
No, it's levels, right?
It's
It's
levels to the
levels.
problems.
Yeah, yeah. You
So
look, it's like, oh, you want it's like, okay, I want to hit 20,000 a month and then
yeah,
I'm good. And then you hit 20,000 a month and you like, nah, that ain't it. Now I got a
hell
new
no.
issue and I gotta go up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
to, yeah, 100%. Like at the end of the day, that's really like when you surround yourself as power and proximity, like they say, right? Like when you surround yourself with people who are heavy hitters and executing and vibrating at high levels and doing things at a higher vibrational level, it puts you in that state. So when I went there last month, I came back and I'm executing because I'm like, I got to get a six-figure month. I
Yeah.
got to do it really quick. I got to do it in lightning speed to where people will just be like, damn, bro. Like, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because getting out the situation that I was just in, for me, I feel personally like um it's actually, to me, it's like I got an advantage. I had a disadvantage, but the way I look at it, I twisted it in my head to where it's like it wasn't a disadvantage. Like I might have missed out on some stuff, but I'd be like,
No.
but I can still take off though, because I got that
Yep.
grind. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
You ain't missed nothing. That's why I said you ain't
yeah,
missed nothing. If anything, it's gonna take you to the next level. Cause like you
yeah,
said, you like, no, I gotta do this. Like
got to.
it ain't no excuses. I got to do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, so that's the biggest thing. When it comes down to mentorship, it's a cheat code. You know what I'm saying? Like, why spend 10 years on something that I could spend 1 year on?
Yep.
Like, that's the only thing that we can't buy back is time and a life. You know what I'm saying? We can't buy back somebody's life. We can't buy back time. But I can't buy time though. You know what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
can't buy time back, but I can buy
Yep.
my future.
Yes.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a mentor that's going to help me expedite my process to get from A to Z versus taking 10 years to get there and bumping my head and stressing out and losing money and doing this and doing that. I'm just gonna spend this money right here and have them help me expedite that whole process and get there in 1 year. Now I just bought 9 years of life. I just
Wow.
bought I just bought time literally. So you
Yeah.
can buy time, you just can't buy it back.
No, you can't. No, but you can buy. You absolutely right. And as a matter of fact, that's how we met. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Mentorship.
Yeah.
Because being around like-minded people, when you're doing this, it's not only that, it's like you need that because the
Mhm.
environments, people outside of you, your family, your friends, and like people don't understand this thing
Yeah,
because
no.
this is not for the weak. Like it is
Uh,
it is no joke, and you need that support. You need, people to rally around you that are not only going through what you're going through but have already did it, like you said, and they have this blueprint, and it's like, no, I
Mhm.
don't have to spend 10 years and it can cut way beyond half,
Yeah,
and what could take me 10 may take me 2.
right.
So 100%. What do you think people's biggest misconceptions are when it comes to credit and funding?
Yeah. The biggest misconception is what I learned is that first off, people think it's a scam because it sounds scammy to them if they
Yeah.
don't know what's going on. Because a lot of people were trained and taught to, go work a 9 to 5, go work for your money. be a slave to the rat race, be a slave to the system, be a slave to the economy. So that's just what we was taught, and it was indoctrinated on us. We didn't choose that teaching; it was given to us, and it was forced on us, and that's just how we think. So I don't knock nobody for thinking that way. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But so when sometimes when we come across, and you know, I got hella credit cards right there, right behind the camera and stuff. And when we come across and we say like, "Yo, I could get you 200 access to 200,000," and it's just like, nah. I learned a long time ago that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, um, you know what people I think the biggest misconception is that they don't believe that you could really do it first and foremost.
Yeah.
And they don't believe they just don't know the power of credit. But the biggest thing to understand is that they when it comes down to getting business funding, there's a lot of stuff you got to do to get funded $200,000. It's not a scam. Scams is where it's just like, yo, let's do this and do that and do this and boom, you're good. Now,
Right.
when it
And
comes to
usually pay me a lot of money and you never
right,
go
yeah,
you're not gonna get nothing, I told you.
exactly. So the thing
Yeah.
is like you know, when it comes down to business funding and stuff, you have to do a lot of stuff to get prepared for business funding.
Yeah.
You have to have a good, great credit profile. Like
Yeah.
you can't have any derogatory marks. So that means you had to live your life not having none of collections. You can't have no late payments like that. You can't have none of that. So and if you do, you got to get it, you know, the credit repair and all that stuff, right? But you have to have at least a couple cards that got over 2,500, 3,000, $5,000 on them, right? So that's and you got to have your utilization low under
Yeah.
10%. You know what I'm saying? And you got to have a good solid mix. So it's like building a credit profile from scratch takes like a year to a year and a half.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand is like this ain't no overnight stuff. So when I tell people I could get you access to 200,000, depending on your situation, if you're ready, I could get you access. You're gonna have the 200,000 next week. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? If you're not ready and you're close, you might have it in a month or two. If you're completely not ready, you need to get your whole credit profile wiped down and we got to rebuild it. You'll have your 200,000 in 12 to 18 months.
Yep.
You
And
know what
that's
I'm
what I
saying?
tell my clients
Yeah.
because, and I don't, and it's, and like I said, I don't tell them anything that I haven't gone through, right, or been
Right.
through. But the reality is, like, it didn't take your credit overnight to get the way it is. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And yes, there are a lot of methods that we can do. We can wipe
Yeah.
stuff. But when it comes to really rebuilding and like you said, getting it to where it needs to be, it's a process.
It's a
It
big
really
process.
is, and you have to be patient with it. I'm so serious when I say this. I will not ever again have a late payment. If I have to borrow money from
Yeah.
somebody to pay my credit card or pay my electric bill,
Yeah.
I'm going.
That's what I tell people like
I'm telling you, because that late payment
late
is no
payments.
joke.
Yeah, they're the hardest thing to get off the profile, hands down.
Yes,
It's easier to get a bankruptcy removed uh
right. Then
than
it is the
than a
late
late payment.
payment.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like they try to hold on to them late payments as much as possible before they move it to a no data or something like that.
yeah,
But yeah, that's the biggest thing. So I think the biggest misconception is when, especially when they hear people like me or anybody else talk about it, is they think like, oh, well, that sounds unrealistic, but they're not really tapping all the way into where they're real that like they get to that point of realization where they're like, oh wait, no, that do kind of sound more realistic when you break it down. You tell them like, well, this is how long it could take depending on your situation. This
yeah,
is what you need to make happen. Like if you don't got no credit cards, you gotta go get some credit cards. If you don't got the credit card, like if you still got to go get the credit cards, you got to go and get some secured loans, and you got to put a little bit of bread into the secure loans with this lender like Navy Federal or Andrews or something, where you let the secure loan cook up for
yeah,
like 6 months. Then you
yeah,
got to then you go get the credit card. You might get like a $5,000 credit card, but now you got to let that $5,000 credit card cook up for like 6 to 9 months. You know what I'm saying? Before you can even think about getting funded. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
And
So
it's work, and
yeah,
it's a state of mind. I
yeah,
think it's two things. A part of it, a lot of it is people say, okay, I'm gonna get my credit clean. Okay, then I'm gonna go get some credit cards and I'm gonna do this and do this and do this. And it's like, that's not how this work. You weren't using it
Oh,
before. So I'm
right.
gonna need you to stay in that mindset like it don't even exist and let
Yeah.
us build it up. But then
Yeah.
the next thing, which is what I talk about all the time, is the worthiness to even think that you can have access to that amount of money. Because
Yeah.
I think part of the mentality of a scam is people not really thinking that they can really have it.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I
One
mean?
hundred
Like they
percent.
can't imagine getting $200,000 in funding. Like
Right.
it doesn't sound possible because they've never seen it.
Yeah, even if they see that you did it, they still haven't seen that they could do it.
They
They'd
can,
be like, because it's
yeah,
that thing where it's just like, yo, you see somebody, win the Super Bowl or something. Well, hey, they won the Super Bowl. I can't win the Super Bowl. I'm not even good at
yep,
football. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep,
so, and they
yeah.
look at that. They look at that even when it comes out of credit. Like, well, they got $200,000, but they probably did this and that and da da da. And I can't do that. Like, I've never even seen $50,000 at one time. I've never some people they never seen $20,000, $10,000 at one time. So how the hell I'm just gonna go get $200,000 with my damn credit?
Exactly.
That don't even make no
Exactly.
damn. That don't even make no sense. This is impossible. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? But the thing is that's why it's important to at the bare minimum consume. I mean, there's so much free content out here on
Yeah.
YouTube. You go to Instagram, my Instagram page. You go to other people's Instagram page where they're giving out free gems, free sauce, and free plays even. You know what I'm saying? Like, go run a play. You know what I'm saying? Go do this, go try that, right? And then, at the end of the day, you get a lot of stuff for free. But even now, even when it comes to actually paying for light mentorships, I got a community. You got other people who got communities that
Yeah.
are $50 a month,
Yeah.
right? Very, I mean, most people can literally sit back and look at what they spend $50 a month on that doesn't benefit them. Like
No.
you might got Netflix and then Hulu and then Paramount, and then you might drink liquor or smoke weed or do this
Yep.
and do that. Well, you spending this money, you spending well over $50 a month on stuff that does not serve your future, that's not going to benefit you to get you in the next position, the next best position. Well, all you have to do is eliminate those things and replace them with getting into a community where you could dive into the material and you could tap in with the people and it starts putting you in life-changing situations. You know what I'm saying? And that's really when I really started to dive into everything. Like I pay for still to this day, I pay for so many subscription, $50 here, $100 here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
bro, I'm in everybody's little mentorship just to literally, and I stay tapped in. Like I
Yep.
stay on people's videos, they lives. I'm always looking to learn something new because my one of my mottos is I'm a part-time teacher, full-time student. You know what I'm saying?
Always.
Part-time
Always.
teacher, full-time
Yes.
student, right? So at the end of the day, that's really what's most important is always being in student mode and just trying to soak up the game because then you got to look at is the proof in the pudding or no? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, does this person what they're saying, are they really doing it?
Is it
And if I
aligning with
see
them, their actions? Yeah.
exactly, if
Yeah.
I see it clearly, all the
Mhm.
stuff they doing it aligns, right? I'm seeing client testimonials. I'm seeing the credit cards. I'm seeing the moves. I'm seeing the action. I'm seeing it. So at the end of the day, I can believe it now to
Yeah.
where at least I'm my eyes are open enough to go and dive into the material that they put out and start to learn the stuff. Then
Yeah.
next thing you know, I mean, that's one thing with me. I dove down a rabbit hole. 6 months later, I'm flying in a jet for my
Yep.
first time. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like, I'm just like, okay, this stuff is real.
But
You
it's
know what
your
I'm saying?
mind. It is real, but it go back to your mindset. And
Yeah,
once we make up our mind, like our minds are so powerful in the things that we create. I believe that, part of the reason why we're all here is to create things that don't exist. Nobody
right.
thought a cell phone would exist, but
Ever.
it
Yeah.
started in let's just say Steve Jobs, right? Like it started in his mind, and to
Right.
conceptually think that we can create things that are so big that can impact people on so many levels is mind blowing to me.
Yeah. That's
So
crazy.
that's why being the creator of your own reality is so powerful, and how you talk about, how you manifested these things in your life. People don't
Mhm.
believe we manifest things every day. It's just,
Oh
what are
yeah.
you manifesting?
Yeah, right,
Right?
exactly. Whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just, for me, it's like my impact is like, I really want people to understand that it's not as hard as they think it is to change your reality. Yes, it's steps and it's work, but if
Mhm.
you make a decision,
Yeah.
things will start aligning themselves. I'm not saying that you're not going to experience struggle. I'm not saying
Will.
you're not going to experience setbacks. But if
Yeah.
you keep moving, the
Mhm.
universe has not an option but to
Right.
shift with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, I always tell people like it's that like the lock-in season, right? Everybody talks about like a 6 month lock-in or whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's simply common sense. Like if I chose today to cut out desserts, bread, red meat, whatever, out of my diet, tomorrow for the next 6 months, you're gonna see a change in my facial features. You're gonna see a
Yeah.
change in my body. If I decide to go to the gym every day and pump the weights as hard as I can and go on runs and go do all this dope stuff right in the gym and focus on my health, you're gonna see it's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen after 2 days in the gym. It's not gonna happen in 2 days of diet. My body's still trying to adjust. And
Yep.
that's the same way it is for your lifestyle. Like once you lock in though, and you do lock in, I can guarantee I'm not I'm not saying maybe or nothing. I can guarantee you that 6 months of real lock-in time, you will start to see a crazy increase in your production levels in whatever you focused on or whatever you were working on by
Mhm.
simply consuming the right things by your ear, by your eyes, and by your mouth. You consume all the right things by these pinpoints, right? By these places. And I promise you, I guarantee you, y'all are gonna start winning and taking stuff to
Yep.
the next level. So that's the biggest thing is like once I understood how real that was, I was like, so that's all you gotta do. It's just that people have the real problem with discipline,
Yes.
because you are essentially your own worst enemy for a lot of things in life. So you might like eating ice cream at 10 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? You like, damn,
Mhm.
I mean, hey, that's my love dessert, man.
Right. I just want a little
Yeah, I just want,
bit.
I'm saying, you might like this, da da da. And all it takes is just for yourself to tell yourself, nah, I got stuff to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you just gotta tell yourself, like, well, is this really gonna get me to where I want to be? No. And then people will try to justify stuff. Well, just this one little ice cream tonight. Well, that
Yep.
one ice cream tonight gonna be two ice creams
Yep.
tomorrow.
Because you're
So
gonna
so
keep giving yourself that little bit of give, and
uh,
and then 2 weeks pass and you didn't ate a whole damn gallon,
you done ate the
right?
whole thing. And that's why when it come down to so I've been cut it out of my head of like oh man, okay, bet I'm gonna stop doing this. I'm gonna stop on Monday. What's today? It's Wednesday. Tomorrow Thursday. So I'm gonna start going to the gym on Monday. I stopped doing that.
Yep.
If I say I'm gonna go to the gym,
Now, yep.
man, what am I doing right now? Like, am I
Yep.
man, I'm just gonna go to the gym right now and go get it cracking. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Or worst case scenario, I'm gonna go tomorrow morning. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? But
Yep.
I'm not gonna push it off to like, oh, Monday, or that's why I like New Year's resolutions, all that stuff. It's just like start cutting all that stuff out. When you say
You
you're gonna
just
do
psyching
something, just
yourself
do it.
out.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
that's
psych
it.
out. Yeah.
That's it. Now it just leads to procrastination because you get to that day. Now you feel forced to do it. You don't, it doesn't feel,
Yep.
but you might as well just force yourself to do it right now. If you know that it's something that you need to do, just do it right now because now, and then you'll be proud of yourself that you did it right away too. When you go to the gym tomorrow morning, you like, damn, you feeling all good. You happy you went. You like, all right, man, I'm happy I started this early. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
that's the biggest thing is like cutting out procrastination. And I swear, like people think, for me, it's like people, like I don't know, people literally like tell me what you even just told me is like, oh, you feel like I ain't miss a beat. But even before you knew me, like I went to prison 2 times, and both times, like I got out and I just did this,
Yep.
and people were wondering like, they're like, "Damn, bro, how do you keep taking off?" And my real answer is literally just being headstrong and tell them and not procrastinating. Like if I know I got to do something, we're just gonna get it done. And,
Yeah.
and and I understand by doing that, I understand how fast you can take off. Like you could really, if you know you got to do something, do it tonight. You know what successful people do that unsuccessful people don't do is the successful people do all the hard stuff. When
Yeah.
all the hard stuff comes up that you don't want to do, I don't want to make this phone call. I don't want to put this project together. I don't want to contact these people. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Do it,
Yeah.
because that's literally the only thing that's separating you from being successful. That's it.
Mm.
Is you not doing the hard stuff, the stuff you don't want to do. That's
Yeah.
all. And then eventually you'll get to a point in
It's true.
success where you can hire somebody to do the stuff you
Yeah.
don't want to do. You know what
Exactly. But I think too that time it gives you too much time in your mind to go
Yeah.
back and forth with yourself, to talk
Hmm.
yourself out of it. When you just do it and make a decision, like you said, people that are wealthy and they have to make decisions, they don't have time for indecisiveness. They
No.
have to just, even if the decision they make may not be the best one, they're going to learn from that, but they make a decision one way or another right then and there. And don't be like, oh, like you said, next Monday, I can wait a few more days. No, we need
No.
the decision now because
Yeah.
that's going to, it's going to change up where you go and how your storyline goes. So
Hmm.
100% on that. In
Yeah.
terms of like your audience and um impacting people, I know you talked about like the young guys in prison and different things like that. Who do you really look at as your target audience and how you want to impact people with financial literacy?
If I'm gonna be honest with you, my main target audience, see, like I I niche down. Just being honest, is people, is drug dealers.
Mm,
It's people who got access to capital, but they're still in a negative mind state, or they're in a positive mind state and they're trying to get out of their current situation and they're trying to elevate, but they just don't know how based on their environment. You know what I'm saying? That's really, if I was to niche down, it's
yeah.
literally drug dealers trying to find their way out. Like, but they don't know how because they just living a life that they knew. Like, what a lot of people don't understand about the mind of a drug dealer, like one that's like quote unquote successful, like one that's
Hmm.
making a lot of money, you know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Is that they have a business, they have
Yeah.
operations, they have
Yeah.
a team, they have their plugs, and they have all these different things. They
Best business ever in
yeah,
terms of mindset
right.
and risk
Yeah,
and
it
risk.
risks.
No,
Yeah.
it's real. You talk
Yeah.
about making a decision. They have to make decisions because a lot of times it can be life or death.
Life or death, literally, and it could be all or nothing. It could be all
Yeah.
type of stuff. But I met, I know plenty of people who they have access to capital, and they're trying to figure it out. And since I took this route, they're just like, they look at me as I'm legit. You know what I'm saying? So they're
Yeah.
looking at me like, bro, I'm not gonna lie, you figured it out, bro. Like I'm still trying to figure it out. I need to do this. So I actually wrote a book called The Internal Wealth Journey while I was locked up
Mm,
too, and I'm still typing it up. Yeah, I've been working so hard. I ain't really been
wow.
working on typing it up, but it's partially to help um drug dealers and street people and all this stuff, like people
Yeah.
who grew up in a more of a impoverished mindset and stuff like that, help them figure out their true purpose, help them learn how to forgive, because a
Yeah.
lot of people in this lane, they have traumas that they're still holding on to, where they don't know how to forgive their parents, or
Yeah.
a lot of other people who they grew up around that kind of put them where they are mentally. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So the book, yeah, it helps them. That's kind of how the book starts off. Is it helps them learn how to get through that trauma, forgive
Yes.
their parents, and forgive people, and then also pull out of them their natural talents, because everybody has a talent. Everybody has a talent. Literally, like it doesn't matter if you could be a good reader, you could be a good speaker, you could be good at poetry, you could be a good writer, you could be good at numbers, you could, you know what I'm saying? Like people have talents. I don't care who you are.
Yes.
You got
No,
some type of
everybody
talent.
has a gift. Yeah,
Yes,
it
you know what I'm
doesn't
saying?
matter.
So
Yeah.
it's all about pulling that out of you. And when it comes to like drug dealers or people that came up in that lane, like their talent, they know what being a businessman is. They just have to shift the way that they go about it, and just shift the product and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? Uh
Yeah, it really
so
is like the infrastructure, like you said, and the setup is already there from a business perspective. It's just shifting your mind, like you said, your environment, your mentality,
mhm,
and looking at a different product, like you
yeah.
said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, if I was to niche down, it would definitely be drug dealers trying to find their route. But the biggest thing is just anybody who, like, when I always say my people. Like, I'll be like, I'm doing this for my people, and my people is literally anybody who came up with no financial literacy. My
Yeah.
my people is people who they didn't have financial literacy and they out here just trying to figure this stuff out. Those
Yeah.
are my people because at the end of the day, y'all are the people who are just like me. And at the end
Yep.
of the day, y'all are the people who I want to touch because all you need to do is get access to this information and start to take action, right?
Yep.
And then literally it'll turn your whole situation up depending on how serious you are and stuff like that. So
I love that.
yeah.
I love it. And I'm excited about your book. And I can actually, I mean, honestly, I can really see you doing that. Like when you were talking, I visualizing you going into prisons and talking. And I mean, I could look, I can
Yes.
really go there when it
Let's
comes to
go.
people, when I hear people talk about the things they want to do. And I just think that you already have, but what you have going on, sky is the limit.
Yeah.
It really, really is. Earlier, you talked about your daughters. When you think of your legacy with them and what it is that you want them to think about when they think about their dad, what would that be?
To be honest, I just want them to always look back and think to themselves like he did. He made sure that he was doing everything he had to do. You know,
Yeah,
I want them to look back and be like, he taught me how to really stand on my own 2 feet. You know what I'm saying? And he taught me what being caring and loving it really is. And compassionate and being
absolutely.
somebody who actually, you know, always saw them for them. And also I like to let my kids have a voice and teach them how to be free. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
at the end of the day, that's all I really want. That's how I move with everything. I just want them to be able to tap into whatever their natural talents are. Like, I don't have anything that I would prefer for them to do. Like, they're going to have real estate
yeah,
on their portfolios, whether they like it or not. But it's all about me setting it up for them to where, I got management, companies and stuff that's set up and da 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 to where they don't have to be fully hands on. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But it's like, you don't have to be a real estate investor all the way, but you gonna have some real estate. You know what I'm saying? Our
Yeah, you have
portfolio.
to learn a little something because you
Yeah,
want to be able for it to sustain them, right? It don't matter
yeah,
what they got. I don't care if my
yeah, I
kids
hear
is selling hair bands or whatever the case
yeah.
is.
Straight up.
They,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? They gotta,
Yeah.
and it could be $1 billion business, but they need to understand, assets and cash flow and credit
Got to.
and really understand, the reasoning behind these things and how it just can go on for generations. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
100%.
fact.
They gotta do a lot of stuff, but they don't I'm not forcing them into a career path or
Yeah.
anything like that. Like, my biggest thing is like I just want them to have options. Like,
Yep.
I feel like as a parent, that's should be our one of our main goals is to make sure that we provide our kids with
Yes.
as many options as possible because
Possible.
we don't
Yes.
know what we don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm a great piano player because I might have never touched a damn piano before.
Yep.
Well, touch the piano, see if you can hit a few keys, and next thing you know, you might, okay, do this, do that, do that. And it's just about, traveling the world and really showing them different cultures, different ways of life, different as many things you possibly can. It's all about experience. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So for me, like, that's what's most important is making sure that they all have plenty of experience so that their minds could be a little bit more open. Because I feel like
Yeah.
people who get more experience in life, their minds are definitely a little bit more open
Yep.
for the most part.
Because we have to understand, like, the way that we live here in the United States, everybody doesn't live like this.
Right.
And it's important to people understand culture and different ways of life. And even like you talked about eating, and it's all kinds of things that are so expansive. And if we can shift our mind and be able to have access to these things, it unlocks creativity and unlocks our imagination and unlocks so much. And then also meeting and being able to partner with people and understand cultures and be open to that. You don't know what can happen in your life or who you can meet. So I think that that's an amazing thing, and I know that you'll be able to give them those experiences. I
Mhm.
100% believe that.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Um, I want to ask you one final question, right,
All right,
before
cool, cool.
we wrap up. So, if you could only teach one lesson about money before you left the earth, what would it be?
Okay, one lesson about money before I left the earth. Um, I would teach that. That's a good question, to be honest, because I wanna make sure I'm saying the right thing and not just going off the top.
Just no, and
First
it's no
thing,
right
first
thing,
thing, first
because
things.
usually first thing is the best thing.
Yeah, because first things first is that
Yeah,
money should always flow like a currency. You know what I'm saying? It should flow like a current. That's why they call it currency. Money should always flow. You know what I'm saying? So when we make money, we should look first and foremost to be able to put it in something that's going to flow to bring us a return on our investment. You know what I'm saying? I think in those terms before I even would spend money on bills or anything else, like especially just straight liabilities, like go buy a new pair of shoes or something like that. At the end of the day, I believe like just off the top, that's definitely one of the main things is that your money should flow like a currency. It should when you make it, you should be able to make it flow into something that's going to bring you a return on your investment, and then once it comes back and you start seeing your ROI, that's when you could take that. And I believe in the all in aspect. I learned that when I was selling drugs.
yeah,
I literally would make all of my money, all my profit, and I would just go right back to the store with all of my money. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like all the profit. And then I would get a bunch of work and I'd dump all the work and then I would go and I would take all my money again, my
And
profits
just
and
re-up
everything.
and
Yeah.
keep
And
building.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
thing is I was going up, shooting up like that's another thing I shot up in quick. I was just boom. And people were
Mhm.
like, man, how little dude take it off like that? And it's like, cause little dude ain't buying no shoes right now. Little dude grinding and
Right.
little dude is putting all his money back in. So that's when I
Yeah.
realized that it was like a paradigm shift. And I was like, as I got older, you could do that with anything. If you just go
Yeah.
all in, like if you make $100,000 in your business, but you're taking every single penny outside of your bid, your expenses for what I'm saying, but you're
Yeah.
dumping it right back into marketing and everything like that, that's just gonna help you triple up even faster and quadruple and 10x. So that's the biggest thing, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
No, but I love that answer, because really, in essence, what you're doing is you're investing into yourself. Either way you look at it, right?
Mhm.
Because and that's basically what you're doing now when you think about getting in rooms and, what I'm saying, having all these subscriptions and doing all this. No matter what, you're getting what you got, and then you're reing up again on education, you reing up again on knowledge, you reing up
Mhm.
again on mentorship, you reing
Yeah.
up on getting next to people and close to people that can help you go even bigger. So that is such a great um answer,
Yeah.
because people don't understand that money comes and goes and it needs to keep moving. Because the thing is, it's not just about the money, it's the blueprint and the strategy. Because
Yeah.
people talk about, well, if you lost it all today, could you rebuild it? And you ask a millionaire that, they're going to say yes, because they know the strategy,
Yeah.
the blueprint that they created to get the money. So they're not worried if they lost it, because they can get it
Right.
right back and
Right.
faster, because now they even know,
What to
what I'm saying,
do.
that journey and what they
Yeah.
did to get there.
They know
So
exactly what
yeah,
to do now. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I love that. What is the best way for somebody to contact you to get credit and funding?
The best way to be honest right now currently is through Instagram. So
Okay.
yeah, my Instagram literally at Tasraw TASRAWW. That's the best way right now because it's like we stay in the DMs. We're in the DMs like crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got my
Okay.
automations following up, but I'm following up on top of the automations and all type of
Right.
stuff.
Just to make sure. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, that's literally the best way right now. That's literally the best
Okay. And
way.
we're going to, after everything comes up, we have all your links, so we're going to put everything in the description
Okay.
But before we go, is there anything that you want to say? Any final words?
Yeah. At the end of the day, you know, it doesn't really matter where you are in life. Like you could be down bad, you could be broke, you could be going through, whatever. You could be at hit rock bottom with certain things. But it's just all about mindset. Like even when you hit certain levels, like you hit a low level, you know what I'm saying? It's really about being able to still see your way out of it
Mm.
and understanding that tough times do not last forever.
They're
They
temporary.
are
Yeah.
only temporary. And
Yeah.
I swear on everything I love that based on the level of discipline that you have and the amount of effort that you're putting into your overall growth and productivity, I promise you that you will start to see growth like that. Like I'm talking about if you focus on it and you're really locked in and focused on progressing and you hitting that gym every day, you're going on the diet, you're reading the books, you're listening to the audio books, you're listening to this person, you're in this person community, you're going through every single piece of material, you're tapping in, you're reaching out to these people, you're doing this, you're doing the work, like you're doing
Yeah.
all of the work day in and day out. I promise you, listen, life is gonna start panning out. Now you went from not having no money in your bank account, you just had a $4,000 day. You just had it, and it's just like, so that's all I gotta do is just lock in. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like that's it. Like I just that's it. I just gotta lock in. And then I could really start to change this stuff. And then it just goes to show you that that's the only difference between Elon Musk, a multi-billionaire. Like he just
Yeah.
locked the hell in. He locked in on what he wanted. He had a vision. He knew what he
Yeah.
wanted, and he didn't stop. And he just kept
Yeah.
getting. And he keeps going. So that's the word. That's the word at the end.
No, thank you for that because it makes it so much more tangible for people because like you said, people look at other people and they're like, yeah, that's you, but that's not me.
Right.
But once you see that first, like you said, like the $4,000, it's like, oh wow, I did it.
Yeah.
It could be $400. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Because it could
400 a
be
day feels great. You know what I'm saying?
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, okay, what else can I do?
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? What else can I do? So yeah, thank you for that. It's so simple, and I think we make it too hard, but it really is that simple. The mindset shift is
Yeah.
everything. It changes our whole paradigm, our whole perspective. So
Mhm. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for joining me. I was
Thank
so
you.
excited. I'm so we're gonna do this again, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna get you. I'm gonna stalk you and see when you come to Atlanta. I'm just gonna watch your
I'm gonna be I'm
Instagram.
gonna, I'm gonna be in Atlanta in 2 days. I'm gonna be in Atlanta on Friday.
Are you?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, what are you coming here for?
The mastermind, the 1% mastermind on Saturday. So yeah,
Nice.
yep. So Friday I'll fly in, and then yeah, Saturday we got the mastermind. And I dip out Sunday. So in and
Got you,
out.
got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, next time you come, and I know ahead of time because I want to sit down in person so we
Right.
could do another one. And
Okay.
yeah, that's gonna be really, really dope.
I'm
But thank
with
you
it.
so much for your time, Taj. I am so excited for you. I can't wait to see it.
Appreciate it.
Because it's your impact, like I said, and just who you are, your spirit as a person, as a man, as a father, as a soon-to-be husband. You
Let's
know what I'm
go.
saying? Is just remarkable.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
thank you for, yeah, thank you for joining us, everybody, and never, ever, ever forget that you are your greatest value. You are your greatest asset. Take care.
All right. Peace.